next speaker. She served 10 years in the Arme Forces Reserves, where she was accepted into Officer CandidacySchool. She was founder and president of the Truth Exchange, an organization that engages critical thinking about the world in the perspective of truth, history, and logic. She is professor of finance and economics, a conference speaker, and hosts It's a New Day on Fox affiliate radio station WFYL, 1180 AM on your dial. I am pleased to welcome Ms. Kathy Barnette.
Thank you so much. I am nursing a sore throat, so please bear with me, but it's so important what it is that we're doing today. It's my greatest desire to be here and to talk to you. But I have a question, and I see someone with a sign out there right now. And my question is this: at what point do American lives matter? That's a question. At what point do American lives matter? At what point do American lives begin to mean something to those who have taken an oath to protect us from foreign and domestic enemies alike? You know, I remember back in my college days when we farmed out all of our jobs to China and India. And we were told, oh, don't worry about it. Don't be greedy. You have to share your wealth. And we all said, okay. And now we have our southern borders being bombarded by illegal immigrants. We don't know who they are. We don't even know where they are. But we're being told, don't worry about it. Mind your own business. Their lives matter. And now we're being bombarded with the next new thing, and that is 10,000 Syrian refugees coming in to our nation. And that's just one report of 10,000. There are numerous reports that says that number is even higher. And what are we being told? Don't worry about it. Mind your own business, because their lives matter. We know that ISIS has already told us that they're going to use this refugee resettlement program to infiltrate America. Don't worry about it. We're going to do rigorous vetting. Mind your business. We got this, right? One report says it's going to cost roughly $6.5 billion to resettle just the 10,000 Syrian refugees here in America. And they tell us, don't even think about the $19 trillion of debt that we already owe. Don't worry about it, because their lives matter. And so as I start thinking about this, I have to ask myself, at what point do American lives begin to matter? At what point? I say that point is right now. You know, I am a firm believer. The name of our ministry is Truth Exchange. That's my son back there. The name of our ministry is Truth Exchange. I am a firm believer that our two most powerful weapons has been and continues to be truth and the courage to stand up and speak that truth when it's your turn to stand up and speak truth, right? Those are our two most powerful weapons. And there are a lot of truisms I can talk about in regards to Islam. I spent a number of years studying it and reading the Koran, talking to Muslims, just to get an understanding, because it is the mindset of a Muslim is very different from the mindset of Americans. And that's the reason why we cannot fully understand the level, the depth of the depravity, the depth of the evil, because it's just not a part of the American fabric for the most part. But let me just share two truisms. And I believe that if we get our minds wrapped around these two truths, it'll be a game changer. One, the first truth is, Islam is not just a religion. How many of you knew that? How many? Yeah. Islam is not just a religion. You see, Islam has what we call the RPM effect. That is, it is a religion, it is a political system with Sharia law, and it also has a military aspect about it, jihad. If they don't convert, Muhammad said numerous times in the Koran, kill them, right? You either convert or you die. So it has a military aspect. So when you think about Islam, we're not just talking about a religion, but we're talking about a religion, a political system with Sharia law and a military system. The political and the military system are completely incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. It's completely incompatible with the American way of life. And yet we have leaders coming to the podium trying to tell us, oh, we can't do a litmus test on religion. Oh, we're going to have to be open to all religions. But it's critical that we understand when we accept Islam, we are not just accepting a religion. We are also accepting a political and a military system that once again is incongruent with the U.S. Constitution. Here's the second truism. You are not, I'm putting emphasis on the word not, you are not a racist just because you reject Islam. Here's a news flash for the majority of our media and our leaders. Islam is not a race of people. Islam is an ideology. Islam is a worldview. Islam is how a particular group of people tend to view the world. Muslims, just like Islam, is not a race of people. How can you be racist when you're not talking about a race of people? Muslims are the followers of Islam, like Christians are the followers of Christianity or the Christian worldview. They are not a race of people, so you are not racist. Let me give you some liberty on that. Let me break the chains on that. For anyone who is afraid of being called a racist, anyone who's afraid, oh my God, of being called intolerant of all things, right? 14 people in San Bernardino, their neighbor did not cause their death, but he aided in it. He did not do his part. And why? Because he did not want to be called a racist. Well, let me free you up from that chain of bondage. You are not a racist if you reject Islam or if you reject Muslims, because they are not a race of people. They are a particular view. There are people that have a particular view of the world, and we have a right to discriminate against worldviews. We discriminated against Hitler's Nazi Germany view of the world, right? That was a world view. That's how he saw the world around him. And we discriminated against it. We rejected it. We rejected Stalin's view, communist view of the world, right? Because that's a particular view of the world that we don't agree with. So we have the right to discriminate against worldviews because all views are not morally equal. All views are not equal. So we have the right to reject it. And let me just say offhand, I reject how Muslims see the world. I reject the worldview of Muslim that says non-Muslims are less than Muslims. Here's a news flash again, fact check, which the media rarely do. But here's a bit of wisdom or truth. If we were in Egypt right now, or in the majority of the Middle Eastern countries right now, you and I would be considered dhimmis. We would be considered less than. And because we are dhimmis, we would have to pay an annual tax called a jizya. And if we were not able to pay that annual tax, we could be raped, murdered, our businesses can be burned down, our churches can be burned down. People can just walk into our homes because we're considered less than. So I reject that particular worldview of Muslim that says non-Muslims are inferior or less than Muslims. I reject that worldview. I reject the worldview of Muslim that says a good Muslim who commits jihad or terror for the advancement of Islam, and if he should die in that endeavor, will immediately go into eternity where he will receive 70 virgins. I reject that foolishness. I reject that worldview, right? I reject the worldview of Islam that says women are lesser than men. Women are different than men, but we are equal in value. So I reject that worldview, and that's an Islamic worldview. I particularly reject the worldview, the overarching worldview of the Koran and the Hadith literatures that describes you and me as infidels. That says you and I are to be either converted or killed. I reject that. How many of you reject that? I reject it. I reject the worldview of the Quran and the Hadith literature that says America is the big Satan and Israel is the little Satan and we are to be annihilated. I reject that worldview. So again, you're not a racist if you reject the worldview. These are facts. These are not my opinions. These are not my, I'm just sitting back sipping tea and thinking up stuff. These are facts. You can go and fact check it. You can read the Quran. This is real, right? And I reject this worldview, and you're not a racist. You're intellectually dishonest if you do not agree with this, and then when it's your turn to stand up and speak truth, you cower down, you hide, or you press the like button on Facebook and think you just did your job. Right? You're not being honest. The FBI Director, James Comey, recently testified before a House committee saying, "We can query our databases until the cows come home." That's a direct quote. "And we won't get nothing." And yet our President Barack Hussein Obama continues to come to the microphone telling us we're going to rigorously vet them. And the overwhelming majority of Americans say, okay, he's going to rigorously vet them. I guess I can roll back over now. But we have the director of the FBI telling us we can query our databases until the cows come home and we won't get nothing. And yet they scratch their head and they're confused on why we assemble and we have issues with that. Why we have banners that says secure our border. They're confused about it. And they look at us as though we're being intolerant. Obama tells us that he has the best intelligence in the world. And then 2 weeks ago, he launches an investigation on his intelligence council, citing they're not giving him proper information. And yet, I'm supposed to feel all warm and fuzzy when he comes to the mic and says, let me make myself clear. I don't feel warm and fuzzy. Let me sum it up by saying this. We do not lock our doors at night because we hate the people on the outside of our doors. We lock our doors at night because we love the people on the inside of our home. American lives matter, and we can no longer wait on our leaders to catch a clue and figure this thing out. We have a president in office right now, Barack Hussein Obama. I try to mention his name as much as possible, thinking that at some point a light bulb is going to go off in someone's head. But President Barack Hussein Obama has such a difficult time using the words Islamic terrorists in the same sentence. And yet he wants us to feel comfortable. I was listening to the media this morning, and we actually have legislators in our National Congress that have introduced a bill that will ban our ability to block people based on their religion. We have a legislator who has introduced a bill to ban the banning of Muslims. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Is that how we should spend our time right now? We just had a terrorist attack, or, to Obama's chagrin, it wasn't workplace violence, or it wasn't an old white man clinging to his Bible and his gun, but it was actually a Muslim on the course of jihad. And you want to spend your time trying to ban the banning of Muslims into our country? I don't know if you guys listened to his speech on last Sunday, but who felt warm and fuzzy after that? It was like a pebble in an empty box, just rattling. It was empty. It lacked all credibility. It was no compassion. I've seen the videos of President Reagan's speeches, and you walk away feeling inspired. And you know, I'm proud to be an American, right? I'm thinking of my son singing the song, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. We have an overwhelming majority of the world who cannot say that. And yet they look at us like we're crazy, or like we're missing some marbles, because God forbid we say, I don't think it's wise that we allow Syrians from Islamic State of Syria, of Iraq and Syria, to come into our country. And I just want to encourage you. That's what I want to do. I want to encourage you. The two things we have and have always had is truth and the courage to stand up when your time is called to speak that truth. There's going to come a time when each and every one of you are going to be called to the carpet. And you're going to have to stand and speak that truth. And I want to encourage you that when it's your turn to stand, stand. Because I have 2 little kids, and you have kids and grandkids. And they're going to inherit this foolishness. And it's on our watch right now. It's not on our founders' watch. Their clock is come and gone. It's on our watch right now. What you going to do about it? God bless.
Well, now we understand why she is the president of an organization called the Truth Exchange. She came up here today and she told the truth, didn't she? Yeah. Thank you for that, Kathy. We really appreciate that. And again, she's the host of It's a New Day on Fox affiliate radio station WFYL, 1180 AM on your dial. And I suggest that we all support her in her endeavor. Because again, she speaks the truth. And people like her will unite all of us. And that's what we need.